to everyone. So like I promised you last week, we are going to study the introduction to management concept. Yeah, so before we move on to the concept and before we move on to the theories, let me just give you some explanation on the historical context. Okay, so before the first industrialized industry revolution was happening during late 1700 to late 1800. Yeah, during that time, everyone was a farmer, so everyone do farming. Yeah, for farming. And when the industrial revolution, the first industrial revolution at 1700 established. Yeah, so the industry actually provide the work opportunity for everyone. Yeah, instead of farming, they are now manufacturing. Yeah, so they have a lot of factories and they are manufacturing products. Okay, so there is a lot of revolution happening. Yeah, so when a revolution happening, rapid changes is also rapidly. Okay, so in what actually sparks the revolution? Okay, so there is three things. Okay, there's three primary things happening during that time. The first thing is the power. Yeah, so because people are evolving, so as their needs. Yeah, so when they have the needs to have lamps, yeah, lightings, some machineries. Yeah, so machineries that they use needs power to run, right? For example, motorcycle, bicycle. Yeah, so and besides then using hand, they start to innovate machineries that use power, and this machinery is actually make the factory produce more, and therefore the factory goes very quickly. Yeah, so besides than that, machineries innovation is also plays a very important role, where during that time in 1873, Eli Whitney invented cotton gin. Cotton gin is a machine that can separate the cotton and the seed, yeah, very quickly compared to when you do it with hand, right? So there's a lot of innovation, machineries innovation going on during that time because people are moving towards the industry, so they invent a lot of machineries. So, and the third primary spark is due to the transportation. Yes, so when you have machineries, when you have manufacturing, you want to transport your products to from one point to another, one state to another. So you need a transportation. So that is why transportation was booming at that time. Okay, so you have a railroads, you have steamboats, then the road improve all over the countries. Yeah, so that is actually the main spark, the main factor why the industrial revolution is in place. Okay, now because of the power, machinery innovation, transportation, this actually creates a lot of needs. Yeah, so when there is a rapid changes, that creates a lot of needs. All right, and there is emerging issues such as during that time, issues such as large group of people working together because they have a lot of manufacturing companies and they work together, so they have a lot of staff working in that factories. Yeah, people working alongside with machineries, like I mentioned to you just now. They invented machinery so that they can produce and more products and more productivity. Yeah, so and then the increasing pace of industry, and when this happening, factory or the companies were looking effective way how to handle these challenges. Yeah, challenges such as how to manage the products, how to manage the staffs, yeah, the workers. So these actually give a challenges to the company or the factory. So this actually gives highlight prompt new questions such as how are we going to organize all these? How are we going to maximize the productivity, and how are we going to manage of these people? So all these questions is being highlighted by the company or the manufacturing factory. Yeah. So this is why when there is a lot of question because of the rapid changes, because of the industrial revolution, this is where the management theories evolve. Okay. As you know, management is being used in any discipline, right? Not just in engineering, it also being used in medical, in IT, in accountancy, in everything. Yeah. So management is globally affair. So what I want to show you in this map is uh, the theories that were being developed by all these management theories. Okay, so you can see Frederick Winslow Taylor here, Frederick and William Gilbert, Mary Parker Foley, which I have highlight this last week, and then Edward Deming. Yeah, and this is all happening in US, and then also in somewhere in Europe, and as well in Australia. So as I mentioned to you earlier, the management is global affair. Yeah, so everyone use management. Okay, the next slide is actually giving you some ideas of the theories. Okay, because there is many management theories. So this table is separating or segregating the theories based on the needs. For example, the universal process by Henry Fayol. This is Henry Fayol also I have mentioned last class. Yeah. So Henry Fayol, the five key function of management. Yeah. So it's being used by all management. So that is why we call it as universal process here. And then comes the operational theories. Yeah, management theory based on operational. So these are the theories. Yeah, the theories is Frederick Taylor, Lillian Gilbert, in fact Henry Gunn here. Yeah, and so on and so forth. And then we have behavioral theories, the system, and also the contingency. So as you can see here, there are many theories on operational because last time we have a lot of manufacturing, and when there is a manufacturing operational, they are focusing on operational wise. Yeah, so there is a lot of theories related to management. Yeah, management operational theories. Okay. Okay, this chart is actually giving you some idea of the evolution of management theory. Okay, like I mentioned to you earlier, the first industrial revolution happens in 1800. Yeah, so in 1800 there's starts the scientific management theory, administrative management theory, and then behavioral management theory, management science theory, and organization environment theory. So there is many theory as the needs grows. Yeah. So that is why this is why I need to highlight to you what is the management theory and why is this important, right? And it grows from one industrial revolution to another. ECM 566. Yeah. So there is actually many theories, but for this part ECM 566 construction management, we are only going to focus on classical theories, human relation theories, and also motivational theory. Okay. So let's look at the first one, the classical theories. Okay, this consists of two. The first one is administrative management by Henry Fayol. Okay, let's start with Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol's theory starts in 1800 or 1900. Yeah, so he's a French coal mine engineer, and later on he became a modern management theoretician. Okay, during that time he's concerned on the scientific organization of labor. Okay, in his time, the organization of labor is is is, uh, is very challenging. Okay, that is where his theory begins during that time, and he made clear of the distinction between technical skill and the managerial skill, which means he already sees the problems in labor and also in manager. Yeah, so what are the skills for labor and what are the skills for manager, and how is the production of this organization can produce a higher cost or production cost, or he's very concerned on the production cost. Okay, Henry Fayol has studied about the organization, yeah, the management organization. So his big question is, how should we manage the people? Remember, I've told you during his time, there's a lot of manufacturing the factories, and there's a lot of laborers, yeah, working together. So how should we manage these people? Okay, so he wanted more systematic principle to train the manager. Okay, because the manager plays a very important role to lead the workers. Okay, so that is where he sees the manager's role is very, very important. Okay, so he also see there's a lacking of management theory in his days, right? So that is why he write a books on general and industrial management, which was published in 1940s. And in his book, he mentioned about what are the activities of a management, what are the skill, what are the important key that the manager should competent at. Okay, and then Henry Fayol also realized that in the industry there are activities, right? Activities such as managerial, technical, security, accounting. These are for laborers. As it grows, as the position grows higher, or the position gets higher, so the activities also changes. All right. So for laborers, the managerial is only a big part of the activities, while technical is much more important during in the labor position. While when the person or the person in charge on the head of department, the managerial skill or the managerial activities is much more related day-to-day basis. Yeah, in a day-to-day basis activities, managerial for head of department, managerial plays an important role. So as the technical, security, accounting plus financial. Right, so when it gets higher position, which is on the managerial part, the activity consists of managerial, technical, security, financial, accounting, and the commercial. Okay, so as you can see, as it grows higher, the managerial activities also higher. Yeah, they place the activities of managerial in the industry for a manager gets much higher. Yeah, so managerial activity. This is where Henry Fayol sees that when managerial activity, there are five function management, yeah, which is planning, organizing, leading, or coordinating, and controlling. So this is where he see the lack of managerial, and he wants to highlight that this five function of management is the most important function for a manager. Okay, so this is what we have learned last class, the five function of management. Okay, let's look at what is the five function of management. Okay, planning. Planning means look ahead. So for a manager, you need to look ahead. what is the planning of the resources, the material, the plant machineries, okay, the cost, the time, the vision and the mission of the organization. So as a manager, you need to see the planning. That is the one of the function, the key function of management. And organizing. Organizing means selecting and arrange people. Yeah, so select the right people to a right job. Okay, and as a manager also, he or she has to lead the workers. Yeah, to oversee them, to lead and to drive and to motivate them. Right. And the fourth function is coordinating. Coordinating means to make sure that you group the people and they work. So you know who handles what activities so that everything can run smoothly and harmonize, and you can and the manager can facilitate the organization. And then controlling also is a key function of management, where you need to control the project, you need to control the organization, so that if there is any hiccups, any defect, you can make necessary repair, yeah, amendments to that project, okay, so that the project will go back on track, right? Okay, besides then the five function of management, Henry Fayol also developed 14 principle of management, and this 14 principle of management acts as a guideline, so for the manager to perform the managerial activities. Yeah, so these 14 principle, I'm not going to dwell on this. You can get it. You can get more information in the website or in the library, yeah, books on this. Okay, these are the guidelines how manager can perform the day-to-day managerial activities. Okay, that is about Henry Fayol. Now let's look at the second theories, which is scientific management. This is by Frederick Winslow Taylor. So Frederick Winslow Taylor is an industrial engineer. He also lived during that time. His idea or his story was being introduced in 1800 to 1900. Yeah, and Frederick Winslow Taylor is more concerned on the productivity, how to improve the productivity, yeah, productivity of the workers. So he assumed that working system were generally inefficient because no one had bothered to make them efficient, right? He said that no one bothers to see what is the method or the system that can make the work become more productivity. Yeah. So, and he says he also assumed, or during his study, he also realized that workers were naturally inclined to be lazy and inefficient. Okay, because of massive production, because of work, you have a lot of people working. Yeah, so the workers tends to be inefficient. Okay, so that is why most of the factory become less productive. Yeah. Okay, Frederick Winslow Taylor, in his study, he developed the time and study motion, the time and motion study. Okay, and in his study, he sees that business efficiency techniques, how to increase the productivity, yeah, by time and motion. Motions means pergerakan, yeah. So if there is more motion, more time consumed. Okay, so this is what Taylor's theories. You need to give a less motion so that the work can be done in a lesser time. Okay, and this time and motion study also being studied by Frank and Lillian Gilbert. Yeah, so they refine the time and motion study, which is being introduced by Frederick Winslow Taylor. Okay, to read, he also studied on how to reduce the number of motion, like I mentioned just now. Higher motion, more number of motion, it performs a task in order to increase productivity. Okay, so the best known experiment involved in bricklaying. Okay, for this time and motion study, the bricklaying experiment is the popular or the famous study being done by Winslow Taylor. What is bricklaying experiment? Okay, it's a very interesting study. During that time, as you can see, as you know that when you do the bricklaying, it involves a lot of bending, a lot of pickups, a lot of laying of mortar. Yeah. During the time and motion bricklaying study, there's a lot of bending motion, picking up motion, laying of the mortar motion, laying of the bricks. Okay, so this takes a lot of. Then he recommend or he suggests that the bricks is being put on the shelf, which is the same height as the workers, so that the workers do not need to bend and pick up the bricks. So he can just take the bricks within his level and to the bricklaying area. Yeah. So it has reduced amount of time, it has reduced the number of motions, yeah, and by breaking all the each task into a smaller step. So he breaking all the motion into the smaller step. He standardized the steps, and he make sure that all tasks is the new one right way. Meaning to say, you don't need to redo the stuff. You don't need to redo the work. So it is a fast work motion. Yeah. So you can do it in one right way. So by reducing the motion, it has reduced the time. And by reducing this time, the result is 300% increase of efficiency. All right. When it increase efficiency, it also increase the productivity. Okay. So this is what is the Frederick Winslow Taylor time motion bricklaying study all about. Okay. So he says that there should be a partnership between trained qualified management and cooperative innovative workforce. Means that there should be a partnership between the workers and also the management team. Okay, so with these two if this has a good partnership between workers and management, it can give a good, a high efficiency and also a high productivity. Okay, so in Winslow Taylor principles of scientific management, he says that develop a science for every job. So he assume, or he says that every job there is a science to it. Meaning to say, you can reduce, you can break it down into small parts, and you can see the motion, and you can make sure that the motion is it's not many motion, so that it can reduce the time of the work. And he also said that select workers with right abilities. Okay, so he says that if right people to a right job, right? And he says the employer need to give a proper training to, and also incentives to the workers, and the management or the employer also need to support the workers. So these four principles is what Taylor has highlighted, so that the productivity can achieve higher. Okay. Okay, next is human relation theories. Okay, so these are to do with behavioral management, behavior of the worker, right? What I mentioned earlier, the classical theory, it's all about motion, it's all about the organization. But for the next three theories that we are going to see is about the human relation theories. Okay, that has to do with the behavior of the human. Okay, George Elton Mayo. Okay, so he he's the father of human relation approach. So he actually develops or introduced the human relation theory. Yeah. So he leads the Horton experiment. Okay, Horton experiment is very famous during that time. Okay, that relates to behavioral studies. Okay, and let's look at what is Horton experiment. Okay, Elton Mayo, he has conducted a few studies, a few experiments. Okay, Illumination Experiment, Relay Assembly Test Room, Mass Interview Program, Bank Wiring Test Room Experiment. So these are all the experiments which conducted from 1924 right up to 1932. Okay, so for this class, I just would like to highlight on the Illumination Experiment only. Yeah, the rest of the experiment you can Google and you can read from articles from the library. Yeah, they are very interesting. It's all about the human behavior, how to test the human behavior. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the famous one, the Illumination Experiment. So illumination means illuminate. What in bahasa Malaysia we call terang, kan? Meaning he wants to see how does the illumination affects productivity. Okay, so this is what he. Okay, before we go on with the experiment, let's look at what is Horton is. Yeah, Horton is a factory. Horton is from the name of factory. These are the factory of General Electric Company, which located in Chicago, somewhere in 1927. Yeah, so they has a lot of employees. So about 30,000 of employees during that time. So this study, all the experiments were involve the 30,000 employees. Okay, before we look into what is the experiment, let me explain to you the background of the experiment. Yeah, so before the illumination experiment were introduced or being conducted, the Horton factory has the problem of dissatisfaction among workers, and also that leads to low productivity. So this, although the factory has given the benefit to workers such as good pension, the sickness benefit, and also recreational facilities, the workers are still dissatisfied with the work, then that leads to low productivity. Yeah. So Horton already engaged some of the researcher to research on why is this happening? Why is this happening? Yeah. So people, the researcher has discovered that this is more than the benefits that the Horton has given to the staff. Yeah, and this actually relates to the behavior, human behavior. Yeah, so that this is where the human relation approach of management, this phenomenon, the new phenomenon called as a human relation approach of management. Okay, so the previous research was a failure. Yeah, so that's why Horton has engaged Elton Mayo and his team to research on this human behavior approach. Okay, so these are the illumination experiment by Elton Mayo, which was conducted 3 years, okay, conducted between 1924 to 1927. So the Horton funded this experiment, and it was conducted with National Research Council of National Academy of Science. One of the researcher are Elton Mayo. Elton Mayo leads the research team. Yeah. So the purpose is to study the effect of various lighting condition on the workers' productivity. He wants to know what is if there is a difference in the lighting condition, will the productivity of the worker improve or getting lesser? Yeah. Okay. So he divide the workers into 2 groups. The first group is the lighting condition improve and the productivity increase, right? So if the lighting is getting better and better and better, so as the productivity will increase, right? And the second group is the lighting is constant and he expect that the productivity increase. So there is two group that he wants to observe. So what is his measure? He wants to measure lighting intensity versus the worker output or the productivity. Okay, and his hypothesis is with a higher illumination, productivity also would increase. Of course, right? Everyone will have that thought. Yeah. If you give a good illumination, a good lighting to the workers, then the workers will produce more, right? So, but unfortunately, the results is the opposite. Yeah. So we have to reject the hypothesis. The hypothesis is wrong. Okay. So Elton Mayo observation says that upward trend even when the illumination was gradually brought down to the normal level. Yeah. So meaning to say the productivity is goes up even though the lighting is brought down to the normal level. Yeah. So it says that the higher worker productivity and satisfaction at all light levels. So there is nothing to do with light. Okay, so in other words, there is nothing to do with light. Okay, the productivity stops when the light reach moonlight intensity. Moonlight intensity like cahaya bulan lah. Yeah, when people cannot see anymore, then the productivity stop. Okay, but the changes of the lighting does not actually affect the productivity of the workers. So that is the illumination experiment. Okay, so these are the results from Elton Mayo's observation experiment. Okay, you can see the upper part here is the productivity. The productivity is almost consistent, but this is the lighting. Can you see the lighting? It goes down from the very low intensity, it goes right up and then goes down again and goes up again. So you can see that the productivity does not change. Productivity is the same. So therefore it says that illumination has nothing to do with the productivity. Okay. So this is what actually the productivity has a psychological effect. Okay, not because of the lighting. It has to do with the psychological of the workers. So this is where the Horton effect was created. Yeah. So it says that there should be a group influence. Group influence means everybody wants to have a social life. Yeah. So if their social life is good, then they will create a good relationship with their friends, yeah, and their social life. Okay, so that will increase the productivity. He also said if there is a conflict then or issues, then there will be effect on the psychological system of the workers, and that will reduce the productivity. He also says that leadership also plays an important role. Yeah, so leadership, for example, like a good leadership, will gives a good will create a good environment in the working environment. Yeah, and supervision. Supervision is said if the supervisor or the manager is friendly to the worker, attentive, genuinely concerned about the staff, then the productivity will also goes higher. Yeah, and also communication, meaning to say if there is a communication between the manager, the employer and the employee, yeah, so the work can go smoothly and everybody happy and the productivity will also increase. Okay, so that is Elton Mayer's effect. Okay, so improvement in productivity or quality resulting from the fact workers knew they were studied or observed. Okay, besides then the effect, besides then the experiment, the conclusion just now, Alton also finds out that if a worker being watched or being studied, then they know that they have to improve. They know they have to work. Yeah, so that the effect of the study, and then the worker are paid attention to, chances are they will respond positively. Yeah, so in other words, if the manager give a lot paid attention to the staff, and the staff will be happy and they would like to respond positively to the work. Yeah, people have different sorts of job satisfaction. Some people, they have different job satisfaction. Yeah, if you give 10 people the same job, each of the people will have a different job satisfaction. Yeah, okay. And the interpersonal relation are required in the job setting, and style of supervision affect level of productivity. Like I mentioned to you, the supervisor skill, the supervision style also affect the productivity of the worker. Yeah. Okay, next is the human relation theory. The next one is theory X and theory Y by Douglas McGregor. Yeah. Douglas McGregor also during that time, 1906 to 1960. So he is a psychologist. He examined the behavior of the worker, yeah, the behavior of the worker at work. So he comes up with the two model. The two model is theory X and theory Y. What is theory X, theory Y? Theory X is the lower order needs. Theory X is the high order needs. Okay, so this theory are based on human behavior. Okay, we are going to look for in the next slide. Now, what is the human behavior? And he concludes there is two types of human being, which is theory X and theory Y. Okay, and he suggests that the manager or the employer should see this theory in order for them to uh, introduce the needs to motivate their staff. Okay, before we go to the theory X and theory Y, let me explain to you about human being. Yeah, when you in the in the working environment, there is two type of people that you will encounter. The first one is uh, a person that dislike work. They don't like to do work, but they want money, they want salary, but they hate work, right? And another one is they like work. Although you give them responsibility, they will take it as a challenge and they pride in doing the good job. Okay, so there is two types. So he says that if you face with the first one, which is dislike work, the manager should introduce the authoritarian style. Authoritarian means authoritative lah, maksudnya you do it. If you don't do it, I cut your pay. Okay, but if you face with employee with like to do work, then you have to adopt a more participation style. All right, so there is a two style of management, like what Gregor says. Yeah. Okay. And okay, let's look at theory X. Theory X, like I mentioned to you, people don't like work. Employees don't like work. They just want salary at the end of the month. They want salary, but they don't want to do work. So they are unmotivated and they dislike working. All right. So the management, the employer should introduce the authoritarian style. Okay, and they have the manager must actively intervene to get things done. Okay, they always have to see the person with theory X, see whether the work is being done or not, what is the progress. Yeah, and it summarized that workers need to be constantly watched and instructed what to do. So this is theory X people. Okay, so these are the characteristics of theory X. Intolerant, distant, detached, aloof, arrogant, short temper, issues with instruction. You give instruction, they give you issues. Okay, they have issues, take up with the direction, does not want to participate, poor listener, one-way communicator, and so on. Okay, so on and so forth. So these are the characteristics of the theory X. Okay, and theory Y. Theory Y is people like to do work. Employee loves to do work, happy, they self-motivate, they creative, and they enjoy working. And if you give them responsibility, they take it as a challenge. Okay, so as what McGregor says, that if you deals with this theory X, theory Y employee, you should adapt participation style of management. Okay, and these are the characteristics of theory Y. They take responsibility and they are motivated to fulfill the goal. Okay, you give them responsibility, they fulfill the responsibility, the goal or the objective of the project. And consider work as a natural part of life and solve the problem. Assume that workers need fulfillment through work and are willing to work hard. And these are other characters of theory Y. They are self-motivated, they are responsible, always want to participate, give rewards and feedback, yeah, give promotion, active, good listener, happy, and so on and so forth. Right, so to give you some comparison between theory X and theory Y, so these are uh, the key characteristic: attitude, direction, responsibility, motivation, and creativity. So if you compare between theory X and theory Y, you see that people dislike work, but for theory Y, people need to work. All right. The theory X is people must be forced. Theory Y, people will direct themselves. They have the motivate and they're self-motivated. Right. Theory X, people would rather be directed, but for theory Y, they seek for the job and they accept the responsibility. People are motivated mainly by money, all right? But for theory Y, under the right condition, people are motivated. They are self-motivated. And for theory X, they have a little creativity. Theory Y, they are creative and ingenuity, yeah, and they use it to in their working life, yeah. And okay, these are the applications. McGregor says that for theory X and theory Y style, for theory X, the people with theory X, it is best to put them in the place with a large scale production operation. For example, like in the production line work, yeah. But for theory Y, it is best to put them in the knowledge and professional services. Okay, and McGregor also says that managers should accept theory Y instead of theory X. Okay, nobody wants theory X, right? So everybody wants to go for theory Y. Okay. All right. Next, the last theory is by William Ochi. Okay, William Ochi is a Japanese. Okay, that's why they call it Ochi. So he invented another theory called theory Z. Okay, Ochi is a professor in business management. So he invented the theory Z. So he also write a book on theory Z. You can find it in the library. Right? If you want to know more about theory Z, you can find it in the library. Okay, I'm just going to explain to you basically what is theory Z. All right, theory Z is a Japanese management style. Okay, and this is a combination of what Gregor has mentioned, theory Y. Is a combination with the modern Japanese management. Yes, so theory Y combined with modern Japanese management. So what is the difference? Okay, I will I will explain to you in the next slide. Places a large amount of freedom and trust, okay, for this theory Z. Ochi says that the employer should place a large amount of freedom and trust to the worker, and the worker have a strong loyalty and interest to the team working and organization. Okay, and places more reliances on attitude and responsibility of the worker. All right, so theory Z is more into attitude and responsibility of the worker. Okay, to help you understand better, so I've already summarized the difference between American management practice and also the Japanese management practice. So if you look at the first one, American is much more short-term employment, okay, 5 to 10 years, but Japanese is for the lifetime employment. Once they involve in that company, they'll be there for the rest of their life, all right? So because they are loyal to the company. And for the American, usually in decision making, it is individually, right? But for Japanese, it's much more collective, meaning they come together, they a meeting, they have a discussion, and they collectively making decision. And for American, is being given individual responsibility, but for Japanese, it is a collective responsibility, right? And unfortunately, in terms of evaluation and promotion, uh, uh, Japanese management practice is slow promotion. Okay, so they grow very slow in their career path, while in American management practice, they go very rapidly, right, in promotion. In terms of control mechanism, American exercise explicit control mechanism, while Japanese uh, exercise implicit control mechanism. Okay, and segment and for American, they go for very specialized career path, and for Japanese, there is no non-specialized career path, right, and so on. Next is the, okay, I've already tabulate what is theory X, theory Y, and theory Z for your understanding. Yeah, so you can understand better what is theory X, the comparison between theory X, theory Y, and theory Z. Okay, last but not least, the hierarchy of needs. This is by Abraham Maslow. All right, Abraham Maslow also lived during that time, 1900, 1908, 1970. So Maslow is also a psychologist, the same like Gregor, and he has developed the hierarchy of needs, and he promotes the concept of self-actualization. Okay, I'm going to explain to you later what is self-actualization, right? Okay, these are the hierarchy of needs. You can see the pyramid. So the lower part here is the psychology needs, and then safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. Yes, as you go higher, the needs getting lesser. Yeah. So let's look at the, okay, to give you some explanation on that pyramid. The two bottom pyramid here, it relates to physical, while the next two pyramid, two level of pyramid deals with emotional, and the higher one is the growth. Okay, let's look at the first one. Why I say physical? Physical is because physical needs. Okay, you need water, food, air, and sleep uh, to work. Okay, in fact, to live. All right, so you need all this to live. Okay, so this is the needs. Okay, this is not the one, this is the needs. Okay, and then the next one is safety needs. Safety needs means safety needs from physical attacks, emotional attacks, fatal disease. For example, like now we are facing with COVID-19, right? From invasion, from extreme loss, losses of job, loss for family members, home, and friends. Yeah, so these are all considered as the safety needs, right? So this is also important for a person. And then the third one is love and belonging. Okay, love and belonging means the inclusion. You are a part of someone. You are a part of a family. You are part of a group. You are a part of a club. Yeah. So the affection, you want the love and you want to be loved, okay? And also control, influence over others and self, all right? So these are the love and belonging needs, all right? So people need this in their life. Okay, and the esteem needs. Esteem needs means respect, the emotional in terms of respect from others. If you get the awards of a good student awards, yeah, so that will gives you the esteem needs, honors or status of life, yeah, respect for self through mastery, achievement, competence means if you achieve the awards, yeah, if you achieve the higher level in your life, maybe in education, so people awards you and people honors your give honors to your degree, so that is also a part of esteem needs. Okay, and yes, I mentioned to you just now, um, he also introduced the self-actualization needs. Self-actualization needs means stop the cruelty, stop becoming exploitation, encourage talent in others, try to be a good human being, yeah, do work one consider worthwhile, enjoy taking on responsibility, all the good stuff, yeah, all the positive stuff, right? So why I explain this? Why? How does Abraham Maslow a hierarchy of needs actually impacts or apply to the theory for manager? Yeah. So let's look at the psychological needs. Okay. In terms of psychological needs, the employer, the manager should give the employees appropriate salaries. In terms of the safety needs, the employee should provide with the job security, safe and hygiene work environment. In terms of social needs, the management should encourage the teamwork and organize the social events. Yeah. In terms of estimates, the manager can appreciate the workers and reward the employees, yeah, for their exceeding their targets. Yeah. And for self-actualization, the managers can give the employees the challenging job which the employees' skill and competency are fully utilized. Okay, so the growth, in other words, the employer should give the growth of opportunity to the employer in the organization. So that is the hierarchy of needs by Maslow that can be applied in the organization by the manager. Okay, so that's the end of today's lecture. I see you next week. Okay, so take care everyone. So I see you next week.